going on, Jerome's? So the Minnesota Vikings had some very good times with Dalvin Cook, the pride of Florida State, 4-time Pro Bowler, and was a true leader and was a true legitimate offensive weapon for the Minnesota Vikings for a long time. And 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, did the damn thing, and Dalvin was very, very good for a stretch for the Minnesota Vikings. But last offseason, it came down to a pay cut or a cut, and Dalvin took the cut and then signed with the Jets and got $7 million and then posted 237 yards rushing, 3.1 yards per carry behind a Pepe offensive line, but also behind Breece Hall. I mean, Breece Hall is good. Why did the Jets even sign Dalvin? Oh, wait, because Aaron Rodgers said to do it. And then he ended up with the Ravens for a hot second, so whatever. But long story longer, there is a movement going on about, hey, the Vikings, they didn't draft a running back. They only signed Aaron Jones in free agency. So why not run it back with Dalvin, just like the Cowboys are running back with Zeke Elliott? Now, what's really stupid is that, so the Patriots cut Zeke Elliott 2 off seasons ago. He played with the Patriots last year, and they still have $6 million of dead cap on their 2024 books from Zeke's last contract. That's what happens when your capologist's number one qualification is he's Stephen Jones' friend. That's all. They got Rob Thug Life Brzezinski out there. But long story longer, Bleacher Report, speculating on landing spots for some of the older veteran running backs. Joseph Zucker wrote this, and they wrote about the Vikings. Dalvin and the Vikes. If Elliott can wind up back in Dallas, and that's Dallas, why isn't a reunion between Cook and the Minnesota Vikings possible? The Vikings made the right read on the 4-time Pro Bowler when they released him last summer. They probably didn't envision his production falling off as much as it did, but they clearly saw a decline on the horizon. He's just old. He's just too old. Minnesota signed Aaron Jones to replace a leading rusher, Alexander Masson. Now, what's interesting is that Aaron Jones is older than Dalvin, but he just seems fresher. Ty Chandler, blah, 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 blah. Cook would provide some depth and injury assurance for a team that has a rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, but isn't fully rebuilding. It's funny that Dalvin would be the injury assurance. But if you look into the numbers, so what's interesting is that Zeke and Dalvin are basically the same age. Both turned 29 this offseason, but Zeke, his time with the Patriots, he was actually quasi-productive. So ran for 642 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. No, that's nothing to write home about, but it's better than 3.1. Did have 3 rushing touchdowns, and also 51 catches for 313 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Zeke, he wasn't vintage Zeke by any stretch of the imagination, but could he play a role with the Cowboys? Sure, as they look to replace Tony Pollard. But Dalvin last year with the Jets. So this is Dalvin plus the Ravens playoff game stats. So 75 carries for 237, 3.1, 0 goose egg DeAndre Russell touchdowns, 15 catches for 78 yards, which is not good. And the Vikings, yeah, they didn't draft a running back. Yes, they didn't bring in a UDFA, but again, I understand the irony because Aaron Jones is older than Dalvin, but Aaron Jones, he's definitely fresher than Dalvin. He's definitely fresher than Zeke Elliott, and that's why the Vikings brought him in for decent money, $8 million. And they obviously believe in Ty Chandler. Now, with Chandler, the number one thing is pass protection, and that's not necessarily a will thing. It really is a skill thing. So picking up on coaching and getting in that lab and getting on the same page with the offensive line and learning the protections, that's going to be huge for Ty Chandler, as well as DeWayne McBride. So last year's 7th-round pick out of UAB. And that's the number one issue of running backs coming into the NFL is pass protection. And McBride, since he was the offense at UAB, he didn't have to pass protect much. So that's going to be a big-time leap for him. So hopefully he can make some noise in year 2. Or, hell, maybe they see a little something with King Kene in year 4. So, I don't know. I understand the appeal of Dalvin. We had some good times. I just – even at league minimum – nah, I'd rather re-sign Adrian just for the laughs. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings bring back Dalvin Cook? No. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.